Okay, let's unpack this whole thing. Imagine you're, standing right at the edge, not a real cliff, but the edge of a really big life change. Maybe it's a layoff, maybe you're moving, a relationship ending, maybe starting something totally new career-wise.
Yeah, those big moments.
1 minute, you feel like you've got solid ground under your feet. Things are predictable, maybe not perfect, but you know them.
Familiar territory.
Exactly. Then, boom, that ground just vanishes. And you're looking at this huge, uncertain landscape. Everything feels, well, wobbly, unstable.
Like being on a tightrope, trying to find your balance. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, desperately trying.
And that feeling, it's incredibly common, isn't it? It's not just about the thing that happened, the external event. It's more that internal shift, that feeling like all the familiar anchor points in your life have suddenly just lifted away. It's deeply disorienting.
Absolutely. And tangled up in all that disorientation is usually a whole heap of stress and anxiety, like a lot.
Which is what some of the material we looked at calls transition anxiety.
Right.
And it's described as a really natural, almost expected emotional response. A psychological one, too. It happens when we're navigating new territory, somewhere outside our comfort zone.
So when you're adapting to something big, something unfamiliar, your system is just going to react.
Pretty much, yeah. It's designed to.
So if you're listening to this and you're kind of nodding along, maybe you're right in the thick of a big pivot yourself.
Yeah.
Career, move, relationship, health, you name it.
Could be anything.
Feeling stressed or anxious about it doesn't mean you're messing it up or you're not cut out for it or anything like that.
Not at all.
Just means you're human.
Yeah.
Right? Going through a really fundamental part of being human.
Acknowledging that those feelings are normal is, well, it's really step one, isn't it? These big shifts, whether you chose them or they were forced on you.
Yeah, doesn't matter which.
They demand adaptation. They really require us to stretch, find new ways of operating, new ways of being.
Okay, so our mission today in this deep dive is to really get into this experience. We've gone through a whole stack of material, stuff from psychological research on resilience, practical guides on coping with stress and uncertainty.
And some really insightful personal reflections, too, from people who've actually walked through these major transitions.
Right. And what we want to do is understand why these changes feel so unsettling and, more importantly, pull out the most valuable, actionable insights to help you navigate them. Not just survive, but maybe move through with more awareness, more strength, maybe even, dare I say it, a bit of calm.
That's the goal. We're not just, listing coping mechanisms off a checklist.
No.
We want to explore the psychology behind it all, the emotional landscape it creates, and really look at the concrete strategies presented in this material that can make a genuine difference as you navigate your own, uncertain waters.
Okay, let's start with some basics, getting the language clear. The material makes this really useful distinction between change and transition. What's the actual difference there?
Sure. Okay, think of change as the external thing, the event itself. It's situational.
Like losing the job.
Exactly. Or the physical act of moving to a new city. The relationship officially ending. It's something you can point to, something observable.
Right, the thing that happens to you or around you.
Precisely. Now, transition, that's the internal part. It's the psychological journey you go on in response to that change.
Oh, okay.
It's the reorientation process. It's about letting go of the old reality, moving through that messy middle period of uncertainty.
The wobbly bit.
The wobbly bit, yeah. And eventually establishing a new way of being in the new reality. It's really about how you integrate that external event into your inner world and sort of redefine your relationship to it.
That feels like a really crucial point.
Yeah. Because
the change, that can happen in a split second, right? The moment the doctor tells you the news or you get that email.
Instantaneous sometimes.
But the transition, that psychological work, the emotional stuff, maybe even spiritual, reconfiguring your life and your sense of self, that takes time. It's a whole process, not just one event.
Absolutely. It unfolds. And transitions, they vary hugely in scale, don't they? They can be tiny, almost unnoticed shifts in daily routine, or they can be these massive disruptions that force you to question, pretty much everything.
Your values, who you are.
Your lifestyle, your future, all of it.
And they come in all shapes and sizes, too.
Yeah.
You might choose one, like deciding to move somewhere you've always dreamed of.
Or it could be completely involuntary, a sudden illness, an accident, getting laid off unexpectedly.
Right. And some you see coming, like planning for retirement, maybe. Others just hit you out of the blue, like a natural disaster or something.
Yeah. But regardless of how they start or how big they are, the material really emphasizes that transitions challenge us. fundamentally.
How so?
While they disrupt our habits, our established patterns, our sort of autopilot mode.
Okay.
And in doing that, they often strip away the usual distractions and force us to become really intensely aware of the present moment because the future suddenly feels so undefined.
Which loops us right back to the anxiety. If transitions are a normal part of life, why do they so often feel incredibly destabilizing?
What?
Why all the anxiety?
Yeah, that's the core of this transition anxiety or change anxiety we mentioned. It's that natural emotional flare-up when we're faced with uncertainty and the need to adapt to something new, something outside our familiar zone.
Our brains love predictability, don't they? They're kind of wired for it, always trying to figure out what's next to keep us safe.
Exactly. They thrive on patterns, on anticipating outcomes. So when a transition hits, especially a big or sudden one, it messes up those predictive models.
Right.
The brain struggles to forecast what's going to happen, and that inability to see the path ahead triggers this really fundamental sense of vulnerability. Humans just find enormous comfort in routine and knowing what to expect. Take that away.
And it's inherently unsettling, anxiety-provoking.
Definitely.
And then there's that feeling like things are just happening to you. You're not driving the bus anymore.
Yes. That perceived loss of control. That's a huge amplifier for anxiety during transitions, when you feel like events are way outside your influence.
Your sense of agency just shrinks.
It diminishes, yeah. And that can leave you feeling helpless, passive, and as a result, way more anxious.
Plus just the sheer mental effort of adjusting. New rules, new place, new people, new expectations. It's overwhelming sometimes.
It really is. Especially like you said, if the changes are happening fast or piling up, that adjustment process itself is a significant stressor. It demands a ton of mental and emotional energy.
And these big life shifts, they can really shake up our sense of who we even are. If your whole identity was tied up in your career, losing your job isn't just about the income, is it?
No, it goes much deeper.
It makes you question your competence, your value, your place in the world.
Precisely. Transitions often challenge our basic sense of self, our core values. They can force these difficult, sometimes really painful questions about identity and self-worth, especially when they involve losing a role or status we are used to.
And even if it's a good change, like landing that dream job, there's still that little voice, right? Can I actually do this? Am I good enough?
Yeah, classic imposter syndrome. Showing up right when new opportunities arise. That worry about whether you really have the skills, the knowledge, the inherent capability to handle the new challenges effectively.
Yeah.
But the material is really clear on this. Feeling anxious during these times. It is not a sign of personal failure or inadequacy.
Okay, that's important.
It's a normal human response to being pushed beyond your current boundaries. It actually means you're growing, even if it feels really uncomfortable in the moment.
Okay. So anxiety is a big piece, but let's talk about the wider emotional impact. It's usually more than just anxiety, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whole mix of feelings.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole spectrum. Alongside the uncertainty and the fear, there can be really significant feelings of loss.
Even with positive changes.
Yes, even then. But let's take job loss first. You lose the income, sure, that's tangible. But you often also lose routine, colleagues, maybe status, a sense of purpose.
Which can lead to feeling worthless.
It definitely can. And the sheer emotional burden of trying to manage all these shifts at once is just substantial.
One insight from the material that really struck me was this idea about grief. That grief is an essential, but often totally overlooked, part of navigating change.
That's such a powerful point, and it links back directly to that difference between change and transition we talked about.
How so?
Well, even if the change itself seems positive, moving to that bigger house, starting the dream career, a new relationship you wanted, there's almost always some element of loss involved in the transition.
I'm kind of lost.
You're losing the familiar environment, the old comfortable routine, maybe the ease of the known. You might even be losing a past version of yourself or that specific life chapter.
Right.
And acknowledging those losses, allowing yourself to actually grieve them, whether they feel big or small.
Yeah.
That's presented as absolutely vital for healthy processing.
So trying to skip over the grief just because the change is supposed to be good, that doesn't work.
It usually backfires. It just suppresses emotional work that needs doing.
So giving yourself permission to feel the sadness, the fear, the anxiety, maybe even anger or frustration about letting go of the old stuff. That's not weakness, it's necessary.
Exactly. It's necessary processing. The sources really emphasize that trying to suppress those feelings, pretending you're fine when you're clearly not, that can lead straight to burnout or chronic stress. and it actually hinders your ability to fully engage with the new situation.
So allowing yourself the time and space to actually feel.
Yeah.
It's not self-indulgent. It's fundamental to managing the whole thing effectively.
Couldn't have said it better. It's foundational.
Okay, well, this brings us to the hopeful part, maybe. While these feelings are normal, and the process is definitely challenging, the material is really clear that we're not just, helpless victims floating down the river.
No, definitely not.
Building resilience. That's presented as the key, right?
Yes. Resilience is framed in the sources not as, never having problems.
Right, not about avoiding difficulty.
No. It's defined as the ability to effectively manage life's challenges, stresses, changes, pressures. It's the capacity to cope and adapt successfully when you're facing adversity. And, importantly, it's the ability to bounce back to a relatively balanced state after a major disruption.
So it's not about smooth sailing all the time. It's about how you handle the storms and find your way back to equilibrium afterwards.
Precisely. The research discussed points out that resilient people show positive behavioral adaptation even under incredibly tough circumstances, things like poverty, serious illness, disasters, divorce, job loss, trauma, you name it.
They don't somehow avoid bad stuff happening.
No, they navigate through it in ways that allow them to keep functioning and often even to grow from the experience.
And the material lists some factors linked to high resiliency. Things like higher levels of happiness, self-esteem, energy, optimism, better self-reported health, a strong sense of meaning or direction in life.
And lower rates of depression. It paints a picture of overall well-being, really.
The characteristics described for resilient people are really interesting, too. They tend to enjoy their work, apparently. React to setbacks with optimism, not despair.
They see problems more as challenges to be solved, which prompts them to take positive action.
They view change as natural, kind of go with the flow instead of fighting it tooth and nail.
Right. They often find they can actually thrive under challenge, not just survive it. They find it easier to feel content even when things are tough. And crucially, they tend to believe they have influence both over external events and their own reactions to them.
And a really key one, recognizing that stress and challenge, while difficult, are often where growth happens.
Yes, that's vital.
And this is where it gets really empowering for anyone listening. The material doesn't just say, oh, some lucky people are just born resilient.
No, quite the opposite.
It states really clearly that resilience can be built. It's a capacity we can develop, not just a fixed trait you either have or you don't.
Which is incredibly hopeful. It means the very struggle involved in navigating a tough transition, that effort it takes to bounce back. That struggle itself can build new internal resources, new strengths you didn't even know you had.
So we're not just subject to circumstance. We can actively cultivate the skills, the perspectives we need to navigate change more effectively with more inner strength.
That's the message. It's empowering.
Absolutely. Okay, so that leads us right into the practical strategies. The material was packed with them. Let's try and group them, kind of thematically, pulling from all the different sources we looked at.
Sounds good.
The first, maybe the most fundamental one, builds right on what we just said about emotions. Acknowledging and processing your feelings, and crucially, seeking support.
Yeah, this is foundational. When those feelings hit anxiety, sadness, fear, frustration, whatever it is, the strategy isn't to push them down or judge yourself for having them.
No beating yourself up.
Right. It's to acknowledge them without judgment. Just notice them. And then give yourself permission and maybe find the actual time and space to process them.
What does process actually mean here?
It might mean stepping away for a quiet moment. It might mean just sitting with the discomfort without immediately trying to fix it or make it go away, just letting it be there for a bit.
And you don't have to wrestle with it alone. Talking about it is highlighted as really important.
Hugely important. Sharing your experiences with trusted friends or family, it makes you feel less isolated, it helps normalize what you're feeling, and it just helps you feel seen and understood. That social connection is a powerful buffer.
And sometimes that's not enough, or maybe you need a different kind of support.
Exactly. The material points out that for some people, professional help like counseling or therapy can be incredibly valuable. Or joining a support group with others going through similar transitions, that provides structure, maybe expert guidance, and that shared experience factor.
There was a neat point about talking to kids during change, but it really applies to us adults too, just acknowledging and validating the feelings. Saying, yeah, it's okay to feel scared about this, or it's understandable you're sad.
And helping to put a name to the feeling. Anxious, nervous, worried, scared. Naming it somehow makes it feel less huge and overwhelming. It gives you a bit of a handle on it.
Okay. Moving on from acknowledging emotions, a really powerful set of strategies centers around mindfulness and building self-awareness.
Yes. Mindfulness, at its core, is about deliberately focusing your attention on the present moment, without judgment.
Which sounds simple, but isn't always easy when your mind's racing.
Exactly. It's a way to anchor yourself when your thoughts are spiraling off into the uncertain future or getting stuck ruminating on the past.
So what are some specific techniques mentioned?
Well, deep breathing is a really simple, immediate one. Just consciously breathing in deeply, maybe holding for a second, and then exhaling slowly. This actually helps activate the body's relaxation response.
Calms the nervous system.
Right. Then there's body scan meditation that's a bit longer. You systematically bring gentle awareness to different parts of your body, just noticing sensations, maybe releasing tension you didn't realize you were holding. It grounds you in your physical self.
What about dealing with anxious thoughts directly?
That's where thought observation comes in. It's a key cognitive mindfulness practice. You learn to notice anxious or negative thoughts as they pop up.
Which they will.
Oh, they will. But instead of automatically believing them or getting swept away, you view them more impersonally, like clouds passing in the sky. You observe them without judgment, without getting tangled up, and just let them drift by.
So you're building some distance, control over how they impact you.
Exactly. Over time, it helps you choose how you react to your thoughts rather than being controlled by them.
Other practices.
Walking meditation was mentioned, combining gentle movement with that present moment awareness. Focusing on the feeling of your feet, the rhythm of your steps, the sounds around you. Mindful eating, too, really paying attention to the sensory experience of eating, savoring the food, which can cultivate a healthier relationship with nourishment.
And journaling came up a lot as well.
Yes. Journaling is presented as a really powerful tool, especially during transitions. Just the act of writing down your thoughts, feelings, worries, it helps get them out of your head.
Externalizing them.
Right. It releases tension. It can bring clarity because you see them laid out on paper. It helps you reflect on patterns, maybe track how you're doing over time.
And there are actual benefits, physically and mentally.
Apparently so. The material mentions studies showing it can reduce stress, lower things like muscle tension, blood pressure, heart rate, potentially reduce sadness, depression, anxiety, and even boost things like life satisfaction, optimism, emotional intelligence, creativity.
Wow, just from writing stuff down.
Seems the simple act of getting thoughts onto paper creates real psychological space and clarity.
There was also a quick grounding technique mentioned, the 3-3-3 rule.
Yeah, that's a good one for acute anxiety. If you feel overwhelmed, you quickly name 3 things you can see, 3 sounds you can hear, and then move 3 different parts of your body, wiggle fingers, tap toes, shrug shoulders.
Forces your attention back to the immediate physical present.
Exactly. Snaps you out of the spiral for a moment.
And all these practices kind of feed into a broader goal, right?
Yeah.
Increasing self-awareness.
Totally. Spending intentional time alone, maybe just reflecting, maybe reading something inspiring. It helps you learn about your own reactions, your needs, maybe what parts of yourself feel a bit neglected or unlived amidst the chaos of change.
Which ties into what might be one of the toughest skills, but maybe the most vital. Learning to just sit with uncertainty.
Oof, yeah, that's a big one. Actively practicing, accepting that feeling of not knowing exactly what's coming next, being present with the discomfort instead of constantly fighting it or trying to force answers that aren't there yet.
It's framed as a crucial life skill because, well, uncertainty is kind of the only constant, isn't it?
Pretty much learning to navigate it is key.
Okay, next theme. Maintaining some structure and routine. This seems almost counterintuitive when everything's up in the air.
But it's presented as essential scaffolding during unstable times. When a major change has knocked everything sideways, holding on to a few elements of your previous routine provides this vital sense of normalcy and stability.
Like what kind of things?
Keeping consistent bedtimes and wake times if you can. Having regular meal times. Continuing with regular activities you enjoy, even small ones. These become anchors in the storm.
And there was advice about not adding more change on top.
Yes, wisely so. Avoid facilitating additional unnecessary changes when you're already stressed by a major one. If you're dealing with a job loss, maybe now isn't the best time to also decide to completely renovate the kitchen,
One major disruption at a time, if possible.
Give yourself that break. And especially if you're moving, recreating familiarity can really help ease the transition.
How so?
Setting up your new bedroom to feel a bit like your old one. Having familiar objects, photos, books around. Maintaining established family rituals like Friday pizza night or Sunday morning pancakes, little things that feel like home.
And underlying all this is basic physical well-being, getting enough rest, eating reasonably well.
Absolutely crucial. When your body feels better, calmer, more rested, you're just better equipped to handle the emotional and mental stress. Focusing on good sleep hygiene, a consistent schedule, a relaxing wind-down routine is so powerful.
Okay, let's shift to more proactive strategies. Preparation, planning, and goal setting.
Right. So when a transition is predictable or you have some lead time, giving yourself and anyone else involved time to prepare is invaluable.
Like visiting the new place if you're moving.
Exactly. Visiting the new town, the new office, meeting new colleagues or teachers beforehand, researching the new community. Anything that makes the unfamiliar feel a little bit more familiar reduces anxiety.
And strategic planning, especially for career changes.
Yeah, that's key. The material suggests really taking stock. What are your strengths? What genuinely interests you? What skills do you have that could transfer to something new?
Figuring out what you actually want from the next chapter.
Precisely. What role do you want this next phase to play in your life? What brings you real satisfaction? It's not just about finding any job, but finding a path that aligns with your deeper goals and values.
Identifying core values was specifically mentioned as helpful for clarity.
Yes, like actually sitting down and maybe listing your top 5 or 10 values. What really matters most to you? Honesty, creativity, security, connection. Having that clear can act like a compass when you're evaluating different options or making decisions.
Provides a constant when everything else feels uncertain.
Exactly. Staying certain of who you are and what you stand for.
And the classic advice? Break down big challenges into smaller steps.
Always effective. Setting realistic short-term goals gives you those small wins along the way. That builds confidence, builds momentum, and having realistic longer-term goals provides that sense of direction.
Planning can also help reduce uncertainty by gathering information. Right?
Yeah.
Networking.
Yes, and networking isn't just about job hunting. It's talking to trusted people, getting insights, identifying possibilities you might not have thought of.
There was that poker analogy.
Yeah. Focus your energy on the hands, the opportunities that have real potential to make a big difference. Evaluate them based on, what you like, what you're good at, what the world actually values. No option is perfect, but it helps prioritize where to put your limited energy.
Interesting point, too, about sometimes choosing uncertainty over a known negative.
Right. If you know a situation is bad for you, sometimes taking a leap into something unclear but potentially positive is the better move. Uncertainty can represent possibility, not just fear.
But it's a balance, isn't it? Planning for the future, but also staying present.
Absolutely. You need both. Prepare, yes, but don't live so much in the future that you miss the present moment where life is actually happening. Mindfulness helps with that balance.
Okay, another set of strategies focused on reclaiming a sense of control and agency. This feels really important when things feel like they're happening to you.
Hugely important. When big changes feel imposed, it's so easy to feel powerless. The strategy here is to consciously shift your focus to the things you can actually control.
Like what?
Your attitude, who you choose to spend time with, how you allocate your time and energy, and, crucially, your own reactions and actions in response to whatever's happening. Focusing on your circle of influence, even if it feels small, drastically reduces that feeling of helplessness.
Even tiny choices can make a difference.
Yes. Giving yourself choices, even seemingly small ones, what to eat, what to wear, what music to listen to, it helps restore that sense of personal agency when the big decisions feel out of your hands.
And asking for help, that's empowering too.
Definitely. Asking for help or input isn't weakness, it's taking control of seeking support. And contributing to finding solutions, even in small ways, makes you feel valuable and responsible, not just passive.
Next up, shifting perspective and actively reframing the experience. This sounds like mental heavy lifting.
It can be, but it's powerful. First, embracing flexibility. Developing the capacity to adapt rather than rigidly resisting the new circumstances. Resistance almost always increases stress, so actively cultivating flexibility is key.
And then reframing the transition itself, not just seeing it as a loss or a setback.
Right. Trying consciously to view it as an opportunity for growth, for learning, for exploration, for reinventing yourself in some way. This takes practice, and self-compassion is essential.
Like reframing a layoff.
Yeah, while acknowledging the pain, you could also frame it as a chance to finally pursue that passion project, or go back to school, or take a needed break, or explore a totally different field you've been curious about.
Talking about past changes you've navigated helps with reframing, too.
Absolutely. Reflecting on previous transitions, what happened, what was hard, what good came out of it unexpectedly, what you learned about yourself, what skills you used, it reminds you that you have done this before.
Every change builds strength for the next one, even if we don't realize it.
Exactly. You've got hidden resources built from past experiences. One source even suggested drawing before and after pictures of past successful changes, just to visually remind yourself of your capacity to adapt.
Relating old experiences to current ones can also help process feelings.
Yes, connecting present challenges to past resilience. Learning from experience is a constant theme, and trying to see transitions as having both loss and gain. Actively searching for the potential gains, even when you're in that tough winter phase we'll get to.
There was a specific note about avoiding those harmful comparisons to back home.
Right. Nostalgia is normal, but constantly focusing on how the new place isn't as good as the idealized past really hinders adaptation. It's about balancing that comfort of familiarity with finding things to appreciate in the new environment.
And balancing perspective, positivity bias and negativity bias.
Yeah, using both. Having hope, staying optimistic, positivity bias, but also being realistically prepared for challenges or potential downsides, negativity bias. It's grounded hope, not blind optimism.
And sometimes just reminding yourself, I can get through this, just keep going.
That simple persistence, it's a powerful form of resilience in itself.
Okay, another vital cluster of strategies, strengthening connections and building support. We touched on this, but it deserves focus.
Absolutely critical. Humans are fundamentally social. Trying to navigate major change completely alone just makes it exponentially harder. Building and relying on your support system, friends, family, mentors, colleagues is vital.
For emotional comfort, practical help.
Mental processing, just having someone listen, all of it. And actively developing new connections, especially if you're in a new place, is really important.
Through shared interests. Hobbies?
Yeah, shared activities are a great way. It creates new anchors, a new sense of belonging.
Prioritizing connection with loved ones, especially family, was emphasized too.
Yes, setting aside dedicated time for undivided attention. Even just 10 or 15 minutes a day where you're fully present. It really matters, especially with kids or partners going through the transition with you. Doing things together, watching a movie, playing a game, sharing a meal without phones, that joint attention strengthens bonds.
And if you've moved, building that new social network is basically essential for long-term well-being.
Non-negotiable, really. Connecting with others who might share similar experiences, other newcomers, people in your new field can provide unique understanding. And generally, seek out positive, supportive companionship.
Supportive relationships at work and home. Their value is immense.
Huge buffer against stress. Huge source of encouragement.
Okay, we've mentioned it, but let's explicitly call out prioritizing physical well-being and self-care again.
Yes. Self-care isn't the first thing to drop when you get stressed. It's actually more necessary than ever.
So enough sleep, decent food, staying active.
And making time for activities you genuinely enjoy or find relaxing. These are non-negotiable parts of building resilience and managing anxiety.
Exercise came up as a big tension reliever.
Definitely. One account described combining vigorous activity running, weights with moments of mindfulness during the exercise, like holding a plank and just focusing on breath, or doing chin-ups slowly while clearing the mind.
So the goal isn't to stop anxiety from ever happening.
No, probably unrealistic for most of us during big changes. It's more about building different ways to manage it effectively when it does hit.
And sleep hygiene. We keep coming back to it.
Because it's fundamental. Consistent sleep schedule, relaxing bedtime routine, optimizing your bedroom environment. Being well rested dramatically improves your ability to cope, regulate emotions, think clearly.
Okay. Finally, let's dive into that model you mentioned earlier, the one that frames the psychological process of transition itself, using the seasons as an analogy.
Yes, often linked to William Bridges' work. It breaks the internal journey into 3 stages: the ending, the neutral zone, and the new beginning.
Let's start with fall, representing the ending.
This is the critical first step, letting go of the old. Every single transition, even one you desperately wanted, starts with an ending. You have to acknowledge and release what was before you can fully step into what's next.
And our culture isn't great at this.
Often not, no. The material notes we often lack formal rites of passage for these personal endings. We just expect people to get over it and move on quickly, which can make it harder.
So we rush into the new thing.
While still carrying the weight of unfinished business from the past.
What exactly is unfinished business in this context?
It's those unresolved feelings, unmet needs, Maybe even positive attachments from the past that haven't been fully processed or integrated. Dwelling too much in the past or being held back by unresolved stuff stops you from being fully present now.
The goal isn't to forget, but to resolve.
Exactly. Address the parts that are holding you back. The sources suggest options. Do nothing often means holding on to negativity. Face it squarely, work through the feelings needs, or maybe relate old experiences to similar present ones to find perspective or closure.
And consciously saying goodbye is part of this ending stage.
Yes, taking time to ask yourself how you want to mark the letting go, important people, situations, places, even old identities tied to that chapter.
Like writing a letter you don't send.
Mm.
Or a little ritual.
Something like that. Actually doing it, mentally or physically saying goodbye. It signals to your system that it's really ending.
And then there's surrender. That sounds hard.
It is hard. It means giving in to the feelings of loss and grief that come with the ending, stopping the fight against the discomfort. The material suggests the pain often holds lessons, showing us what we need or what mattered. Sometimes the death of the old is necessary for the rebirth. A key question here. What is it time for me to let go of now?
Okay. So after the shedding of fall, we enter winter, the neutral zone.
Yeah, this is that in-between space. Often feels like emptiness, numbness, maybe confusion, lots of uncertainty. You're not really anchored in the new thing yet, but you've also disconnected from the old identity or reality.
Like being in limbo.
Exactly. Or like soil lying fallow, as one source put it. Looks dormant, but it's actually a really essential period for things to happen beneath the surface, preparing for future growth.
So this is a prime time for that self-awareness work we talked about.
Absolutely. Spending time alone, learning about yourself outside the old context, reading inspiring stuff, maybe exploring new groups or interests tentatively.
And feeling whatever comes up in this quiet space. Loneliness, anger.
Yeah, loneliness, anger, sadness, depression. But maybe also moments of unexpected peace or finding a hidden strength. Sharing these feelings with a trusted friend or counselor is crucial here. Journaling can be really helpful for making sense of it all.
The big caution is not just filling the void with busy work.
Right. Avoid keeping busy just to escape the discomfort. The discomfort of this phase, the material suggests, actually has a purpose. It shows us what needs attention.
Retreating to a personal neutral zone might help, like a quiet weekend.
Could be. Taking time alone, simplifying things, maybe just jotting down thoughts about what feels unlived or suppressed in your life right now.
And trying to take advantage of this winter period. Find the hidden gifts.
Yes. Believing that something good can come from it, even if you can't see it yet. Actively looking at the transition as both loss and gain helps you search for those potential gains emerging from the quiet.
And finally, after winter, spring, the new beginning.
Yes. This stage emerges when you've done the work of letting go, fall, and move through that reflective, sometimes confusing space of the neutral zone, winter. You start to feel new energy, maybe a sense of direction, a readiness to actually engage with the new reality.
Time alone is still useful here, but for different questions.
Right, more like, what do I need now? What feels like it's genuinely waiting to begin? Who do I want to be in this next chapter? What do I want to do? Visualizing the future you want can be really powerful at this stage.
And letting go of old standards, not trying to just replicate the past.
Crucial point. Accepting that past achievements or identities aren't the only way to feel satisfied now. Don't cling to old roles if they don't fit anymore. Focus on building the life you want today.
Setting goals is important here too, but maybe with flexibility.
Definitely realistic and flexible goals. Knowing what parts of the new situation are still uncertain helps shape them, but the encouragement is to start today, even in small ways, to move towards those dreams for the new chapter.
And celebrating the small wins, rewarding yourself.
Yes, positive reinforcement. Healthy treats, pats on the back. It builds positive momentum. And seeking supportive, positive companionship is still vital. Encouragement helps solidify the new path and avoid slipping back into old ruts.
So recognizing these seasons in your own life, the letting go, the quiet incubation, the fresh energy, can help you navigate the whole process.
It provides a map, a sense that this is a natural cycle, which can bring hope and a renewed desire to grow and contribute again.
Okay, beyond that model, there were a few other practical strategies sprinkled throughout the material.
Yeah, kind of overarching perspectives. One was about consciously using all your available resources.
Not just money.
No. Books, information, skills you already have, your time, friends, family, your unique talents, even things like a positive attitude, your health, your ability to appreciate beauty. recognize and leverage all these assets.
Taking calculated chances was encouraged too.
Right. Growth often requires stepping into uncertainty, even with a risk of failure.
And taking responsibility for your own reactions, not just blaming circumstances.
Yes, that's a hallmark of resilience. You control your response.
Don't let obstacles or other people stop you from pursuing your goals in the new chapter.
Setting healthy boundaries might be part of that.
And that simple question, when fear strikes, what's the worst that can happen?
Often when you really look at it, it's less catastrophic than your mind paints it, and maybe less severe than things you've already overcome. Puts it in perspective.
And finally, that profound question about defining success for yourself, the proud old self-test.
Yeah, Isaac Asimov's idea. When making a decision during a transition, ask, will this choice make me proud of myself when I look back at the end of my life? It aligns your actions with your deepest values, a powerful compass in uncertain times.
Wow. Okay, that really was a deep dive. We started right there on that wobbly edge. And we've journeyed through why change feels so stressful, the absolute necessity of processing emotion, especially grief, the really empowering idea that resilience isn't fixed, it's buildable.
And a whole toolkit of practical strategies, grounding techniques, planning, reframing, support systems.
And understanding that natural seasonal process of letting go, being in the messy middle, and finding a new beginning.
It really highlights that navigating these big changes isn't about trying to eliminate the discomfort or wish away the uncertainty. That's probably impossible.
Right.
It's more about understanding the process, honoring your own emotional experience, and actively using the strategies that help you move through it with more awareness, more strength, and the ability to eventually find your balance again in the new landscape.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening to maybe sit with. Something to mull over as you think about your own journey through change, based on everything we explored.
Okay.
If uncertainty isn't just some temporary phase we have to suffer through, but maybe more like an ongoing condition of life itself, how might embracing that truth actually free you up?
Right.
Free you to discover unexpected opportunities and maybe build a deeper, more adaptable sense of who you are, right there within the unknown.
That's a powerful question to carry forward. We really hope this deep dive has offered some valuable insights and perhaps some practical support for navigating whatever transitions you might be facing now or will face down the road.